How's it going, everyone? Today I am doing something a little bit different. My channel's new and I made it for my enjoyment of sim racing, and everything I've done to date has been around sim racing. However, there's always been something else that's been enticing to me, and that is the world of flight simulation. I have dabbled in it in a couple occasions with FSX in the past and just never quite stuck with it, and not sure why that is. I always found it quite interesting. Just never got too deep into it as much as I would have liked to. I mean, I got to the point where I could get up in the air in a Cessna, putz around a little bit, but that's about it. So, with all the pre-release hype that Flight Simulator 2020 was receiving, it drew my attention, mostly to do with the technology side, seeing how they took the satellite imagery and managed to basically recreate the world from that using AI. I found incredible. And on its release earlier today, I did a couple little short flights, just up in the air, flying around, just to take a look, in and around the Toronto area, the area I live in. And quite frankly, I'm amazed at the accuracy of this, and something that makes me feel like I might actually stick with it. Back in the old days of FSX, the couple times I did try it, that was one of the downsides, was flying around areas that I do know, and it just not being that accurate. And I know there are third-party mods and everything else that a lot of people use to get it up to better representation of the world. I never got that far into it, and the vanilla FSX just wasn't cutting it. It is an older game, to be fair, but what I've seen so far with this game is just incredible. I've gone by every house I live in currently or lived in the past, gone by my office for work. Everything's where it should be. Every road is where it should be. You can fly around, just know where everything is. It's all there. The accuracy is actually just stunning. So I feel I'm going to give this one a real shot, and I'm going to start that by learning how to properly fly. Yes, I can put the throttle up, get the Cessna in the air. That's not a big deal. But this time, I want to learn how to properly fly, how to properly go through the checklist, properly taxi, properly use the air traffic control, and so on. And hopefully get up to the point where I can fly the big airliners, the smaller jets, whatever else they come out with in the lifespan of this game. So I'm going to start that today, and I'm going to start that with the in-game flight training. I'm going to make a series of videos of going through this flight training. I quite frankly don't know exactly what this all covers, how far along it gets you. I imagine at some point I'm going to finish this part and then have to continue on, figure out another way to continue to learn, to continue to move up in the planes I'm flying. And I'll rely on you guys for some of that as well. Eventually maybe get to live streaming this, where you guys can give me the tips, the advice, and everything else to go along with learning how to properly fly these things. So we're going to get started, like I said, with the flight training. As you can see, it looks like there is 8 training modules here. So I'm going to start off with 1, basic controls and cameras. I feel like there's probably a good chance I know most of the stuff in this one for now, but let's try it out and see how it goes. So it's got everything built in, and it's just a matter of going out and getting it done. So as soon as this loads up, we'll be right back. Alright, so we're loaded up now, ready to get this started. And let's see what they gotta teach us here.
Welcome to flight training. I'm your instructor, Captain Molina, but you can just call me Jess. This session, we'll get started with some basic controls. Sound good? First things first, let's get familiar with your surroundings. Don't worry, I've got the stick while you get your bearings. Out your side windows, you can see we have great visibility over Sedona today. This is Red Rock territory. Beautiful, isn't it? The Sedona Airport. The runway should be a pretty easy landmark to find. There you go. Visual confirmation on the airport. Now that we're oriented, it's your turn. Time to fly this bird. The first control on our training list is the yoke. I still remember my first instructor saying the yoke is like a steering wheel. Almost. Sure, you can turn, but you can also pitch.
So this is a good time to mention, I don't have a yoke. I do have an old Thrustmaster T-Hotas X.
And the ailerons, they allow the plane
it's not great, but it gets the job done. So we'll continue on with that. If I get deeper into this, then I'll look at upgrading my gear.
Back out. Good. Of course, the yoke also controls the elevator. And the elevator affects the plane's pitch, right? Pull back on the stick, the plane starts to climb. Give it a shot. The most valuable things in aviation are speed and altitude. But notice, when you're pitching up, your speed is decreasing. You could add more power. Or for now, let's just pitch down. Just like that, your speed's picking up again as the nose pitches down. As you level back out, let's talk about another control, the rudders at your feet. Rudder pedals control the aircraft's side-to-side movement, also known as yaw. On the ground, those pedals are going to steer the plane left or right. Up here, they properly align us during turns. Try them out, and watch the plane's nose skew to either side.
So also, with the T-Hotas X, this is one nice part I do like about it. The throttle does have a rocker on the back of it, which is perfect for using as the rudders when you don't actually have
Simple enough, right?
Have rudder pedals.
We go on, let's bring the plane back
it's one thing I really do like
sure
about this setup.
Below the horizon for a cruise attitude. Okay, the last thing we're going to cover now is the throttle. If you have the need for speed, then the throttle's for you. Full control over the power output of the engine. Let's see what happens when you cut all the power.
guessing we're gonna start going down.
Surprise, surprise. Our altitude is decreasing.
There we go.
This might be a good time for a piloting PSA. Always keep an eye on your surroundings, because nobody likes a low-flying duck. Alright, let's go ahead and throttle back up. There you go. Speed is increasing, and as long as we maintain the same attitude, our altitude will keep climbing too. You're really getting the hang of your controls. Before long, you won't even need a co-pilot. Until then, if you want help with the radio or checklists or simply flying the plane, I'll be here. You can pass me the controls when you're ready to finish your session, or keep flying. It is a great day after all. All right, I have control. Good job.
Alright, well, that was a quick and easy session there, so I think I'll do one more as part of this video. Didn't really learn anything new there, but still want to go through all of them. So next one is the attitudes and instruments training session. So we'll get to that one and let's get it loaded up and be right back. Alright, we're back for session 2 of the flight training here in Flight Simulator 2020. So let's get started on this one and see what this one's about.
Today we're talking about attitudes of flight, how your plane is oriented relative to the horizon. If you look outside, you can see the cockpit is just about 4 inches below the horizon line. We're flying straight with a decent rate of speed. This is the cruise attitude. Let's see how it reads on your instruments. Take a look at the attitude indicator. As the name implies, it shows your current attitude. The white line is the horizon, with the sky above and the ground below. That orange element in the middle, aligned with the horizon, that's your plane. Just like we saw outside, our current attitude reads pretty much straight and level. Okay, now let's see how much power the engine's generating. Check your tachometer. Looks like we're pushing around 2,300 revolutions per minute. Combined, attitude and engine RPMs translate to aircraft performance.
I did not realize that was over here.
Airspeed indicator. Now, last but not least, check your altimeter. To figure out your altitude, you always want to read the small needle first. That's how many thousands of feet up you are. Then on to the big needle for the hundreds. With our current attitude and power output, we're holding a speed of 90 knots and a stable altitude of 6,000 feet. But that's about to change. Take the stick when you're ready. Pull back slightly on the yoke to raise the nose just above the horizon line. About 2 inches. Make sure you don't pitch up too much, or the angle will be too steep to create lift. And without enough lift, we'll stall. Alright, go full throttle and start climbing. Welcome to the climb attitude. See how it shows up on your attitude indicator and tachometer? According to your altimeter, we're gaining altitude. But we're losing losing airspeed even at full throttle, proving you can't avoid basic physics while making a climb. Okay, before we go on, let's get back to a cruise attitude. Ease up on the yoke and aim your nose just below the horizon. Then throttle back down to 2300 RPMs. Nice job. We're now set up with the same attitude and power we had at the top of our lesson. Next up is the descent attitude. Start by reducing your RPMs to 1800. Then drop the plane's nose a bit further below the horizon. As expected, with a nose-down attitude, our altitude is decreasing, while our speed is picking up. Why don't you get us back to a cruise attitude, and we'll hit the last part of our lesson. There we go. Now that we know how to cruise, climb, and descend, let's talk about the turn attitude. Gently pull the yoke left or right to start rolling the plane. If you take a look outside, you can see how our attitude's changed, but you can also check your instruments for the details. As a general rule, you always want to keep your turns under 30 degrees. At the top of your attitude indicator, there's a series of notches representing 10 degrees each. Use them to control your roll. Notice the more you turn, the more you need to pull back on the yoke to maintain altitude. When you're rolling out, you'll need to do the opposite. Roll and push at the same time. The more you know about the main attitudes of flight, the closer you get to that pilot state of mind. So keep practicing, and whenever you're done, pass me the controls. Thanks, I've got control now. Well done.
Alright, another short and quick lesson there. Again, stuff pretty much from my short times with simulators previously, I know, but it's still good to go over it all, keep it fresh in the mind. So for this video, I'll leave it at that one, and we will pick up in episode 2 of this series with lesson number 3. So I will see you all then.